Considering the sexy scenes he's read, totally 18 plus. Don't you know who you're talking to?
Daddy. Strength to hold in what is trying to get out. Okay. Temptation.
He lowers himself down between my legs and watches me closely as he pushes himself inside me. I cry out, moaning with pleasure, uncaring how feral and out of control I sound. Kyle moves slowly at first, kissing me so softly that I feel like I might explode. Then he pulls back and slams into me hard.
I shall save you all from spiders. I'm an expert trapper and releaser. That's so sweet that you release them. I murder them.
Hello and good evening. Wonderful to see you. Killa, enjoy playing Hunt Showdown, as I'm sure you will. Mitchell Arts. Nobody ever does. It's so unfair. Mitchell, welcome. Thank you for the lurk, Red. And Stump Mama's Mama, of course. How are you? How is everybody? Are you ready for this new book? I think you are. But then again, are you really? Are you? That's right. You are ready. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad you're ready. I picked a different kind of puzzle for tonight based on the theme of our new book by Lady K. It's kind of got a grandiose theme to it. I know it's probably a little small on the screen, but once you get in there, you'll understand. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I really have. I have appreciated Kay's work. Was delighted that this one was coming out, and it's a trilogy, folks. This is just the first book in that trilogy. Obviously, because we wouldn't read the second or third one first. That's just silly. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Kala, I'm gonna try not to mess this up. Kalisabi? Hi? Am I saying that right? Welcome. Me too. Love her work. A Maiden Voyage. Yes, I don't actually know if the other books are ready. I'm not even sure. They may or may not. I don't know. I haven't asked. But when Kay gets here, we will ask. Yeah. Are you excited for this book? Khaleesi? Am I saying that right? Khaleesi? I want to say Khaleesi, but that's not correct. Khaleesi. Khaleesi. I'll figure it out. Oops, I'm accidentally smacking my stream deck. Don't want to do that. All kinds of bad things might happen. Just making sure I didn't get a message in Discord. I did not. It's just a notification that I don't need. That's fine. Yeah, so Heyo, Game of Thrones fan. Pretty good. Khaleesi. Okay. I can handle that. Khaleesi, hi. Thrilled to be coming in as I start. Awesome. Yeah, this is a brand new book that we're going to get into, so it's going to be pretty great. In fact, I was just about to read the back of the book. If anyone wants to, you can do !fall, and that will get you a link to this book and other works by our author. So feel free to check that out anytime. That link will be available. Oh, I don't have a Discord anymore. Shoot. I should get rid of that. Sorry. That Discord link doesn't work. My bad. I got rid of my Discord. Or at least my server of Discord. I thought I got rid of that link. I guess I didn't. Shoot. Let me just double check real quick. Nope, I sure didn't. There it is. Okay. It's gone now, though. So, my bad. Sorry for, alluding to the wrong thing. And Lady K's here. There she is. Our author, everybody. Lady Alpha K. I've never watched a Twitch read aloud, so first timer. All right. How did you find me? Do we know each other and I just don't realize this? Thank you. Appreciate that. You don't have to say who you are specifically. But do I know you? Or how did you find this? I hope you like it. I'm sure we will. I have no doubts. I'll take a quick sip here. Never fails me. I can be talking all day long at work. Have no issues at all. As soon as I sit down to read a book, my throat gets all weird. Every time. Anyway, sidetracked. Before we get into the book itself, let's read the back. Give ourselves a refresher on what it is we're jumping into. And then we'll get into it, okay? Okay. So here's the back of the book. Inspired by the impending birth of his first child and heir, King Lixin decides it's time for his kingdom to evolve along with human society by abandoning the patriarchal social system that has shaped much of the supernatural world for thousands of years. However, when he announces his intentions, the reaction is far worse than anticipated. As word spreads throughout the Pride Lands, tensions mount, leaving the mountain village divided and the king despairing over his failed attempts to restore peace, and rumors of a looming uprising led by his own brother. Fearing for the future of his pride and his family, King Lixin makes a decision no one should ever contemplate. It's pronounced Lishin. See, this is why I need the author. Hi, newbie. It's spelled Lixin, though. Lixin. You spelled it wrong. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's Chinese. Well, that makes sense. So it's Lishin. Got it. King Lishan. There's an index? Of course there is. Where's the index? I haven't actually cracked open the book yet. Hey, Marcus. What's up? Alright, so the puzzle is ready. Oh, you came up on my Facebook, people I may know, looked at your profile and found your stream because I'm on Twitch daily. I work for a company that works with your company. I'm near the Akron, Ohio area. I date a man named Jared. Oh. Well, hi. Got it. I understand now. Picking up what you're laying down. All right, well, we're cracking open the book now. Oh, we should probably switch screens too. And there's an index in the front. All right, I haven't actually looked yet. So, okay. Quick question. It all makes sense now. I miss you, by the way. It's great to see you. Have you written any of the other books in the trilogy yet? Anyways, happy to be here and listen. Thank you. Gosh darn it. So sorry. Not yet. Okay. That's fine. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. We have a list of characters. We've got all the chapters laid out. We also have a note from the author. Would you like me to read the note from the author, Kay? Or should I pass that? Gosh. Okay. Still working on book 2 of Mill's Bluff and book 5 of my werewolf series. Jeepers. Go for it. I don't remember what I wrote. Okay. Alright, so here's the note from the author. Those who know me will tell you I tend to veer off the agreed upon route to carve out my own path. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but every time it takes me somewhere new and enlightening. This book is a prime example of my inclination to do my own thing. Not only has the species within never been written about before in this context, but the book itself strays from traditional formulas. First, it is classified as a paranormal romance, but does not contain the elements necessary to be considered a romance. There are examples of true love and a nice, healthy dose of spice, but none of the characters meet and fall in love. Obsidian's Fall is only classified as such because the trilogy that follows is a romance, and we can't separate one book of a series from the others. That would be confusing. Second, the book is considered a prequel. It takes place 16 years before Book 1 begins and explains the events leading up to the trilogy. I understand that prequels typically follow the main part of the series, but that is something that has always bugged me. As a reader, I prefer to have those details up front instead of sprinkled throughout the series, like clues to be discovered or released later to tie up loose ends left behind. As a writer, I write what I want to read and hope that my books find readers who love or learn to love the details as I do. Thank you for reading Obsidian's Fall. I hope you enjoy this emotional journey and will return to see what happens next in the Obsidian Mountain Pride trilogy. Okay, so there you go. A little bit about the book and what's coming. Appreciate that. And then we have a list of characters in order of appearance, of whose names I will probably butcher, like I did already. So first we have Quinn Thomas Reese, military chief. He's the military chief of the Obsidian Mountain Pride and lifelong best friend of the king. Then we have Maya Evelyn Copley Reese. Lady in Waiting and Friend to the Queen, mate of Quinrys. And then we have Garrett Richardson, squadron leader of the Obsidian Mountain, jeepers, I'm butchering it already. Pride Military, Dexter Lyon, assistant military chief. And then we have Lishin Hao Song, King of the Obsidian Mountain Pride. Fallon Ray Bennett Song, Queen of the Obsidian Mountain Pride. There's a lot of characters. I am not going to be able to do voices for every single character. I'm just telling you that right now. Chi Young. Oh boy, I gotta. Why can't you just name someone Smith? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Chi Young Chien Song. Chi Yang. Yes. It says Shi Young in the book, okay? You wrote it right here. It says Shi Young. And then we have Gavin Barton. I can do Gavin Barton. That's easy. King of the Grayling. Then we have Ola, head of the Obsidian Mountain Palace kitchen staff. Chi Pong Song. I am going to be so bad at this. When it comes to the actual book, this is not going to go well for me. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Chi Pong Song is former king of the Obsidian Mountain Pride. Let's see. Rovinia Clapper. See, I'm already... Chi Yang's rejected mate. Okay. Trevor Pauly. I can see I got that one. You're going to have to correct me like every single time. Just letting you know that. Ian Hale, squadron leader. Kyle Marlowe, soldier. Renly Lyon, house manager. And lastly, but not leastly, Daxia Chi Song, daughter of Lixin and Fallon Song. So I have to remember that ZHI, I want to say in my head Zai, but that's not true. It's Chi. So ZHI is Chi. Okay. Great. Locked away in my Civ safe. Oh, that's cool. Chapter 1. It has a little paw print. Check that out. There you go. That's cool. You got me? I know you do. Okay. So, my friend from Ohio, just so you know, I never read ahead. So I have no idea what's coming. I just read it as if you were reading it for the first time yourself. And that is why I make mistakes, because I haven't practiced. Also, depending on how you're listening and how much you want to engage, there is a puzzle, as you can see above my head here. If you would like to do a puzzle that is a community-based puzzle, you can. You just type !puzzle in the chat here, and you'll get a link that will take you to the puzzle. Oh, and your picture's in the back? Awesome. Aw, that's a good picture. It might be a bit small, but I'm gonna do my best. Such a great picture. Once I'm done working, I may do that puzzle. Of course. And if this one get like last stream, we ended up going through like 3 puzzles because everyone went nuts. Okay. So we got the notes, we've got the characters, and now we're actually going to get into the story itself. questions, comments, Kay is in the chat. This is her book. I am honored and flattered that I can read it. Thank you. And again, !fall will get you a link to this book if you want to support the author and check out any other books she's written. Did I read your from Ohio's Road again? Okay. I'll let y'all chat. All right, the first chapter is Escaping the Palace. This is June 6, 2002. And is this from Quinn's perspective? Is that what I'm seeing here? Yes, it must be. So Quinn is the military chief. Okay. Raised voices and the sound of splintering wood followed my mate and me as we ducked into the secret passage, concealed behind a bookcase in the king's private chambers. The urge to turn back was intense, causing immense pressure in my chest that nearly overwhelmed me. Being a soldier, it was my duty to stand and fight, but I was under strict orders to flee. So, I obeyed. No matter how difficult it was to walk away when I knew what was happening, I would, because I'd given my friend and king my word. Oh, also, Tallahassee. It's taking me everything not to call you by your real name. This book is definitely going to have some spice. I would say a 6 or 7 out of 10. So, just so you know. As the shelving unit slid silently closed behind us, I flipped a switch to illuminate the corridor beyond, then focused on engaging the barricades in case our presence had been detected. The steel door and cold locks would slow them down considerably, and we needed every second to put as much distance as possible between them and us, ensuring a successful escape. The future of our pride depended on it. Quinn, leave it. We have to go. My mate pleaded in a harsh whisper while she tugged on my arm. Go on. I'll be right behind you, love, I said, pulling the small slip of paper with my king's emergency override code from my pocket. Without argument, Maya started down the steep staircase, moving as quickly as she dared without a handrail to keep her from falling. I watched her go and held my breath until she reached the bottom safely, then turned back to the console and punched in the code. Yes, he's going to console the lock on the door. That's exactly what's happening. A train of rectangular yellow lights ran along the screen's perimeter, indicating that the system was verifying the information provided. A few seemingly endless seconds later, there was an audible click, and the console lit up with the words, "Lock engaged." I mentally celebrated that tiny victory as I sprinted down the stairs after my mate, capturing her hand when I reached her side. Together we ran down the narrow, dimly lit corridor, pausing at every corner to ensure no one else had wandered into the passage. A sudden whimpering sound stopped my heart as we crouched near the entrance to the third-floor library. I jerked my head towards my mate, and the bundle she held clutched to her breast. Please, not now. Please, not now, I silently begged. Shh. It's okay, little one. We'll get you fed soon. Maya crooned softly to the newborn cub while patting the infant's backside. The tiny girl wriggled restlessly against Maya's breast, rooting for a nipple. She was hungry and growing more frustrated by the second. Who could blame her? Only moments after taking her first breath, she was thrust into the arms of strangers without the benefit of her first meal. Maya released my hand to comb trembling fingers through the sleek, chin-length black hair. Her dark brown eyes, filled with fear and panic, met my gaze. How much farther? We don't have much time. My worried mate was right. We had to move faster, so being cautious was no longer an option. If the baby started to cry, we'd be captured in no time, and all would be lost. I couldn't let that happen. The king and queen were counting on us. Taking her by the shoulders, I pecked her forehead and prayed to the collective for protection and guidance. We'll go single file from here, I said. If anyone with ill intentions happens into our path, I'll distract them, but you keep going. No stopping until we reach the exit. All right? Maya nodded and hugged the baby tighter against her body. Lifting my hand, I caressed her cheek, then turned and started running. The light slap of rubber against the concrete, keeping in step with me, brought a small rush of relief. For a moment, I feared she would lag, and I had to have to pause every few feet in order not to get too far ahead, costing us time we couldn't afford to lose. Even glancing back would slow us down, and we were already on borrowed time with nearly the entire length of the 55,000 square foot palace and acres beyond to go. I needn't have worried. Hey, Amlas, what's up? How you doing? Despite our 6-inch difference in height, Maya met me stride for stride. For 10 minutes, we raced along inside the palace walls, weaving around corners and sprinting down steep staircases until, at last, we reached the exit inside the gardener's shed on the edge of the courtyard. A sudden, sharp pain in my head, followed by Zion's roar of agony, drove me to my knees, while a wave of unbelievable grief stole my breath. Our telepathic channel to our king had severed. His Majesty was dead. And that's the end of the story. I thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great night. Just kidding. Of course there's more. Sorry, working on a project, but here listening. No worries. You're probably in the kitchen baking something, aren't you? Lol, jokes. That's me. And normally I would be doing push-ups, but I chose for a long sleeve tonight, so push-ups will not be happening, because it gets really hot in here, so no. We will save them for Sunday. Maya knelt beside me with tears streaming down her face and her body shaking from the effort she was expending to suppress her sobs. "Oh, Quinn," she whispered, rocking the baby and reaching for me at the same time. I took my distraught mate in my arms, allowing our bond to comfort us both for a few precious seconds, then pushed to my feet and took her hand. "We have to keep going. We'll grieve properly when we're safe," I said, helping Maya to stand. Leaving her to murmur to the restless infant, I walked away to check for guards, praying that her sweet, loving tone would continue to console the child. As quietly as possible, I worked my way around the perimeter of the shed, peering out every dusty window I passed. As far as I could see, there was no one milling about, so I cracked the shed door, cringing when the hinges groaned their objection. Other than the sounds of grief echoing in the night, there was nothing to imply soldiers were patrolling nearby. Still, I scanned the area to be sure, then eased the door open the rest of the way and stepped out, waving for my mate to follow. Again, my eye swept over the lawns to the tree line and beyond, double-checking the coast was clear. When I was satisfied, I grasped Maya's hand, and together We ran for the dense forest outside the palace gardens. Maya slowed as the brush swallowed us. Keep running, sweetheart, I encouraged. We can't slow down. Not yet. The baby's whimpering grew more insistent, and her reddening face warned she was seconds away from bursting into a full-blown scream. Panicked, I jerked on Maya's arm, stopping myself before I yanked it out of the socket. We were still within earshot of the palace, a dangerous place for a newborn to cry, considering what had just transpired within those stone walls. Oh, no, baby girl, not yet. Please hold on just a bit longer. I pleaded pointlessly with the baby, who couldn't understand a word. Maya's eyes widened in horror as the cub began to flail her arms, then narrowed with the fire of a warrior ready for battle, coming into them, displaying a fierceness I didn't know my mate possessed. Letting go of my hand, she clutched the little one tighter to her breast and ran, flying over the ground so fast her feet barely touched the earth. I followed, struggling to catch up and marveling at how well she shielded the infant from the slap of the low-hanging tree limbs. My mate would have made a wonderful mother. No, she was a wonderful mother. The tiny little girl in her arms was now our daughter, entrusted to us by our oldest and dearest friends in their final act of love for all three of us. Their sacrifice not only preserved their child's life, but granted Maya an opportunity to experience the joy of raising a child, despite her inability to conceive one of her own. The unmistakable beat of wings echoed overhead, and fear pushed my erratic beating heart into my throat. Ahead of me, Maya skidded to a stop with a strangled gasp when a large, winged black cat with golden eyes landed in front of her. I shifted mid-stride, handing control over to Zion. My panther leaped forward, positioning himself between Maya and the cat, and prepared to fight so our mate could escape with the cub. I opened a telepathic channel to the intruder. Let us pass, Garrett. They killed them. Garrett shifted to his human form and bowed his head in respect, a sign that his allegiance hadn't been swayed by... Gosh darn it, I already forgot how to say this. Hold on. Shi Young. That's right. Shi Young Song and his followers. Shi Yang, right. Nice, this is like werewolf books, but with panthers. Yeah, it kind of has that vibe to it, doesn't it? Zion dipped his head in acknowledgement, then passed control back to me as I initiated the return to human form. Garrett looked at my mate and bowed his head a second time. I'm sorry if I frightened you, Maya, he managed before turning back to me and breaking down. King Li Xin and Queen Fallon, he choked, fighting to hold back his sobs. They're dead. They killed them. I know. I felt our connection sever. I answered, fighting tears of my own. What are we going to do? With no heir, Shi Yang will take the crown and destroy the pride King Li Xin was building. Garrett wondered out loud, scrubbing his hand over his face to rid of signs of grief. The baby chose that moment to resume her objection to her lack of substance with an indignant shriek, drawing Garrett's attention to the bundle in my mate's arms. Is that, he began, then his eyes widened, and he dropped to one knee. The princess. She lives. Yes, she lives, but not for long if Shi Yang finds out. I said, not bothering to hide the venom in my tone. Garrett rose, his jaw slack. But she's to take the crown. King Li Xin named her as his rightful heir. Shi Yang will never allow that to happen. He is her uncle. He will either kill her as soon as he sets eyes upon her, or bride his time. Bride, really? Bide his time as her guardian to avert suspicion, and kill her before she becomes of age to take the crown. So, what are we supposed to do? Endure Shi Yang's rule? Garrett asked, repulsion marring his chiseled features. I stepped forward and laid a calming hand on his shoulder. I'm afraid you have no choice. This is the only way to ensure King Li Xin's legacy remains intact. So, you're taking her? Yes. Their Majesties asked Maya and me to take her and raise her far away from Obsidian Mountain, with the understanding that she would return one day to reclaim what is rightfully hers, I said. Garrett stiffened his spine and smiled menacingly. How can I help? What a cool intro. Well done. We're not done with the chapter by any means, but we are switching perspectives now to Garrett. The princess's cries grew louder and sharper. Maya tried desperately to calm the infant by pacing, but the sound was echoing, and I knew it wouldn't be long before someone else heard. Quinn obviously had the same thought because he started to move back and toward his mate. Primed to run, while his intense blue eyes scanned the forest beyond, and I am getting a phone call that I do not want. I'll call you tomorrow afternoon. We'll work out the details of your role then, Quinn promised in a rush, reaching for Maya's hand. I nodded my understanding, also examining our surroundings for signs of trouble. Like most feline species, winged panthers could see almost better in the dark than in the light, meaning if anyone approached, we'd see them in time to react. You don't want to know about your extended warranty? I do actually, but I'd prefer they just leave me a message. There was no one. Well, none that we could see. At least, not yet. In the distance, a low rumble rippled through the air, drawing our attention to the east. Wings. A lot of wings. My lungs ceased functioning, trapping the air. I whipped my head around and met Quinn's eyes. They were wide with fear, but I knew it wasn't for himself. I watched Quinn fight off 4 rogue werewolves at once without flinching a few years earlier, when he and I went to investigate a perimeter breach. My panther still had a bald spot in the base of his tail, where one of those bastards carved off a chunk of flesh with a steel blade. There wasn't an ounce of cowardice in Quinn Reese. His fear was for his mate and the tiny little girl she carried. Part of me cursed His Majesty for putting the burden of protecting the princess upon Quinn, but the other celebrated his wisdom. If Quinn stayed, he would suffer a far worse fate than the princess. Shi Yang hated Quinn, and had long resented his friendship with King Li Xin. I did not doubt that Shi Yang would torture Quinn in every way possible, dragging out the agony as long as he could before allowing him the blessed peace of death. Obsidian Mountain was not a safe place for Quinn or the princess. As a beat of wings drew closer, Quinn and Maya exchanged panicked looks and began backing slowly away from the sound. Quinn stepped in front of Maya and the baby and prepared to fight. I admired his courage, but the three of us didn't stand a chance against what was headed in our direction. If we were caught together with the princess, we would all die horribly and painfully. Go, I said through gritted teeth, deciding to sacrifice myself for our future and rightful queen, thus honoring my oath. Then I shifted into Leo and took to the sky to meet the threat head-on, hoping to buy them enough time to get wherever they were going. A few seconds later, I heard the faint sound of an engine turning over in the distance and released a relieved sigh. They were free. The princess would survive the night and return someday to save us all. My panther slapped his wings hard, jerking my attention back to the task at hand and propelling us higher. Get ready. Here they come. Leo warned before tipping his body to the left and flying straight into a dozen of Shi Yang scouts led by Dexter Lion. Dexter was Quinn's second in command and a supporter of Shi Yang's old-fashioned ideas. He became quite vocal about his beliefs after King Li Xin announced his daughter would succeed him. If memory served me right, his exact words were, "Women are not meant to be leaders. They are to be subservient to their mates and to be bred. Nothing more." Sounds like a winner. Dex and Quinn clashed several times over other similar statements and came to blows when Dex dared to suggest King Li Xin's removal from power. I felt the tug of a channel request and reluctantly accepted it. What are you doing lurking in the forest at this time of night, Garrett? I couldn't sleep and thought I'd give Leo a chance to stretch his wings. Did you have your block up? No. I felt the channel break when I reached the northern edge of the Pride Lands. That's what drew me back. How did it happen? Does it matter? Li Xin's song was plotting to destroy this pride. The collective saw fit to end his tyranny. King Shi Yang will restore our honor. Hundreds of venomous barbs danced in my head, but I dared not speak them. There was a reason King Li Xin had put his brother in charge of dispensing justice to those who violated the law. Shi Yang did not possess an ounce of compassion and showed no mercy. Rumor had it that once he whipped a pregnant woman until she went into premature labor, dropping the cub on the concrete floor. Wow. Of course, it was just a rumor, but I saw the bodies of the prisoners he'd executed, and from the looks of them, he thoroughly enjoyed making sure they spent their final moments in agony. It would not be wise to speak ill of such a man, especially when that man was to be your king. Leo dipped his head, silently acknowledging Dex's bile while I kept my thoughts to myself. What? Have nothing to say? Dex probed, no doubt trying to trick me into saying something that would land me in a cage. I didn't bite. What is there to say? I swore fealty to the crown when I became a soldier. That means I will obey Shi Yang as I did King Li Xin. King Shi Yang. Address your king correctly. King Shi Yang hasn't been coronated yet, so my address was proper. For now. If you'll excuse me. Leo started to maneuver around the group, but Dex's panther, Toran, swooped over and cut us off, pushing in close until he was practically touching noses with Leo. It was a typical intimidation tactic that Dex was fond of using to assert his dominance over others, The only thing he had over anyone else was his rank as apprentice military chief. In truth, he was a subpar fighter and smaller in stature than most of our soldiers, which resulted in him being secretly referred to as Napoleon 2.0 within the ranks. That's funny. Even Quinn had let it slip once or twice after butting heads with Dex, much to the delight of those who assigned him the moniker. One more thing. You didn't happen to see Quinn Reese out here during your restless flight, did you? He seems to be missing, and I heard he was last seen fleeing from the palace. I thank the collective that Dex couldn't see my face. The insinuation in his tone heated my blood to a boil and would have been plain in my expression. Quinn was my superior officer. He was a good soldier and man. He trained me from the age of 16 and made me a squadron leader before my 21st birthday. The respect I had for that man was immense and unwavering, and it took every effort not to put that smug bastard Dex in his place. I haven't seen Quinn since training yesterday morning. We don't exactly socialize after hours. The bitterness I harbored toward the prick interrogating me slipped into my tone, making me sound resentful. It was genius and totally accidental, and Dex wouldn't know the difference. What better way to eliminate Dex's suspicions than to make me think I resented Quinn for his lack of friendship? What I said was true and could be easily verified. Quinn and I didn't socialize outside of training, never had. But that was because I wasn't a social person. I didn't associate with anyone. If Dex decided to investigate me further, he'd find I'd kept to myself. He would find no affiliations or reasons to question my loyalty to the crown. Given his archaic way of thinking, he would see me as too much of a loser to be a threat. And the bitterness that implied social rejection in my voice would reinforce that belief, keeping me flying under the radar until the time came to reveal my allegiance to the true ruler of the Obsidian Mountain Pride. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Chapter 1. Ba-ba-da-bang. Oh, would you believe it? So that phone call I was getting was actually from my kid's school district.
Drink!
They've canceled classes for tomorrow. Awesome. Would anyone like to take a guess as to how many days my son has attended school in January so far? 2, 5. You just saw that as well? Yep. Mitchell says 5. Amlas, you are correct. 2. That's some good tea. Mama House Gaming, hi. I mean, new. I live in sunny SoCal. What's a snow day? What's snow? It's not even because of the snow. It's because of the extreme wind chills. It's going to be cold. Yeah. Yeah. You've had the front door open all week. Rub it in. Rub it in. Hi, Killa. How's Hunt Showdown? We need to do some shout-outs. Okay, if you insist. Funny. I hope my kids have a snow day, then I get to work from home. Ah, I primarily work from home, but tomorrow I'm supposed to go in. Well, as you know, I get to work from home every day. I just clutch carried again. Nice. Let's get some shout outs. I don't know if I have any mods actually here right now, so I'm going to do them. Boy, it is such a treat to work from home. Business up top, comfy on the bottom. That's if you're on camera at all. I've been avoiding the camera lately. Just too comfortable. Who else is here that I should shout out? Anybody? Anybody at all? Wait, Redthorn was in here before, or lurking at least. There we go. My company requires it for the departmental meetings, or I would avoid for sure. Requiring, see, that's such a weird thing for me. If a company were to, quote, require you to be on camera, that, you know, that just advise, suggest, hope for, but require seems a bit strong. I demand. She's just a gamer girl. So yeah, I think that voicemail that I'm gonna look at real quick is, yep, it's just the automated message letting us know that there's no freaking school. Awesome. I thought I recognized the number. Well, at least I don't have to get up and take him to school. I guess there's that. I don't like getting up at 6:45, packing a lunch, driving him in the cold, just so I can come home and, you know, go to work. You know, I make a really good cup of tea, I'm just gonna say. Alright, how are we enjoying the story so far? And Kay, how am I doing with the reading? Does it sound okay? Anything I should change? Add? Do different? You know, all that good stuff.
More! More!
There will definitely be more. It's fabulous so far. Good. Sounds great, but you keep swapping Maya with an Maya. I know. It's Maya. Maya. Yeah, I think I started saying Maya. And then I switched to Maya. You know what? Next time you write a book, do it with like 2 or 3 characters max, okay? That's all I'm gonna ask. It's a simple request. Hello, have you met me? Not in person. Even though I was in Ohio. Just saying. Just giving you our time. I love me some Fortnite. Just last week started learning KBM instead of controller. Ooh, keyboard and mouse. Gotta love it. That's how I play games. The brain does what it wants. I'm just the vessel. Yes, I was at Stump Mama's mama's house. I got to give her like 3 hugs. It was amazing. She makes good treats too. Hey, no, I just finished radiation, so I was looking awful. I understand. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Oh, I did miss your message. You'll be on lurk for the rest of the stream. Okay. Did I? Where? Back to lurk. Okay. Thank you, newbie. Sorry. Lots going on right now. Can't keep up. All right. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called A Grand Announcement. This is 2 months earlier, and this is from King Lishin's perspective. I'm old school and love my controller, but I think my boomer brain works better with a keyboard. Nice. Love it. Alright, so this is 2 months earlier, so this is pre, King Death and everything else that goes on. Atkinson also gives very nice hugs. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alright, here we go. We're on page 31, by the way. Oh, Lee, it's absolutely breathtaking. A proud smile spread over my face at my queen's lavish praise. I spent the better part of a week preparing the throne room for the most important announcement of our lives, worrying that I would bungle the job somehow. But the awe in Fallon's voice and expression wiped it all away. Ordinarily, my beautiful and heavily pregnant mate would... Let's start that again. Because, words are hard sometimes. Ordinarily, my beautiful and heavily pregnant mate would see to the details of decorating for a special event. But after the struggle we endured to conceive, I could not bear the thought of her risking her health and that of our first cub on something I was capable of overseeing myself. Despite my brother's taunting that I would soon be wearing her gowns. Just thinking of... I've already forgotten how to say the name. Gosh darn it. Shi Yang, right? Shi Yang. I have a thing here that I can look at. Yeah, Shi Yang. I got it. That's fine. Just checking. Just thinking of Shi Yang made me bristle. The man was an insufferable, pompous ass, with outdated ideas and an overinflated ego. He made it no secret, publicly or privately, that he disagreed with me succeeding our father to the throne. My being the firstborn and natural successor did not make any difference. In Shi Yang's mind, he was better suited to the job because he had the personality and the strength to lead, the very things he often claimed that I lacked. However, his idea of strength was adhering to ancient beliefs in the face of an over-progressing human society and the inability to feel empathy. My father and I deemed growth and evolution as necessary to better blend in with the world around us, and the ability to empathize with our Pride members made us more effective rulers. We are winged panthers, not humans. We should not have to lower ourselves to their level to exist in the world. Shi Yang shouted at our father and king the last time he implemented a change in our traditions. I expected some variation of that statement when he learned of the change I sanctioned. Lee? Fallon's concerned voice pulled me from my thoughts. I'm sorry, darling. What were you saying? I was complimenting your decision to use the ivory linen tablecloths with the gold candelabras and the crystal goblets with our gold-trimmed wedding china. The effect is quite lovely. Fallon frowned as she turned to face me. What is it, my king? You have been distant and tense all morning. I am anticipating Shi Yang's reaction to our news. You know as well as I do that he does not handle change to traditions well. I explained, cupping her cheek and meeting her jade-green gaze. I apologize if I have neglected you, my queen. The need to prepare my mind for countering his arguments seems to have stolen my focus. My lovely mate shook her elegantly coiffed? That's not a word I'm used to. Blonde head. I do not understand why he clings to the old ways. We may not be human, but we conduct business and interact with them regularly. Coiffed. Okay, thank you. If we do not change with the times, it could not only raise questions, but cost us business. The pride would be decimated. Shi Yang does not believe that to be the truth. My father and I have tried to explain this to him many times, yet he refuses to see reason. To him, evolving with humans is a sign of weakness, and he is not the only one who feels that way. There are several within the Pride who share his views. I said with a light shrug, trying to conceal my concern about how the rest of the Pride would receive our news. Shi Yang is a fool, Fallon mumbled, then sighed as she scanned the room one last time, rubbing circles over her swollen belly. You have created such a beautiful setting to announce the gender of our child. I hate that we must prepare for Shi Yang to ruin it with his impertinence. So do I, my darling. It is unfair that we should worry so much about my brother causing a scene. You deserve to enjoy your moment. Come, let us get you off your feet. Our guests should be arriving soon, I said, moving my hand to the small of her back and guiding her to the rise where our thrones sat. Before me, 9 generations had ruled Obsidian Mountain from those hand-carved oak symbols of divine right, and even they had evolved over time. Like the rest of the palace decor, their appearance changed with every generation to reflect the trend of the era. When my parents sat upon them, they were a light honey color with a golden velvet upholstery and tasseled trim. A few years after my coronation, my queen and I had them stripped and stained in a rich, dark espresso, then reupholstered in black velvet. The appearance of the throne was the only thing Shi Yang and I had ever agreed upon. Exhibit A. Fallon and I were 10 feet from the rise when the door burst open and slammed shut seconds later. I did not have to look to identify the early arrival. Shi Yang's presence could be felt even by those who did not know him. Tension and discontent followed him wherever he went, causing any room he entered to feel claustrophobic regardless of its size. I sighed as I settled Fallon on her throne and elevated her swollen feet with a stool I commissioned to match it. It appears we spoke his name too many times, I murmured, kissed her brow, and wearily turned to face Shi Yang. Good afternoon, brother, I greeted pleasantly. I will never understand the pomp and circumstance surrounding the birth of a cub. Grand announcements, gender reveal parties, showers, etc. It is a cub. Women have been birthing them for centuries, and they will go on birthing them until the end of time. It is not a major accomplishment. Ji Yang grumbled as he stomped up the steps of the rise and made himself at home on my throne. I studied my brother, noting the arrogance in his expression, appearance, and body language. While he pretended to be disgusted by the inconvenience, I could see the cunning in his cold, brown eyes. Clearly he hasn't given birth. This is so true. His objection was a ruse. Jiang never could resist an opportunity to parade around like a peacock, especially when dignitaries from neighboring prides would be present. The reason was inconsequential. Any occasion that afforded him an excuse to dress in his finest attire was capitalized upon, but not without a fair amount of feigned dissent first. For our gender reveal, he chose an expensive Italian suit in black, with a bold crimson silk tie and black loafers crafted from the finest Italian leather. Completing his opulent ensemble and securing his long black hair at the nape of his neck was a thick leather thong decorated with obsidian and silver beads encircled by diamonds. Not so subtle reminders of how our family cultivated its wealth. I've yet to birth a pup, sir. Yes, if us humans start birthing pups, well, that might take over the front page, you know what I mean? Jiang leaned back on my throne, crossed his left ankle over his right knee, and met my appraising gaze with a look of defiance, as if challenging me to comment on his choice of seat. For many years, I toyed with the idea of banishing him over his constant disrespect. I always changed my mind because he was my brother, and I loved him. However, his increasingly obvious disdain for me and my mate was wearing my patience away. Have you forgotten how hard Fallon and I fought to conceive this cub, Xiang? I would say it is a grand thing to celebrate when we were so sure an heir would never come. I countered, my brow lifted in challenge. Jiang did not bother to disguise his amusement. Yes, funny, isn't it? How you magically produced an heir when there were whispers that you should abdicate the throne. Tell me, brother, did you at least allow the donor to make the deposit himself, or did you force him to empty his seed into a cup? Wow. Well written there, Kay. That was harsh and hilarious all at the same time. Fallon gasped, pushed herself to her feet, and fled the throne room. Rage sent my blood roaring through my veins until its red haze clouded my vision. My first instinct was to answer that disgusting statement with physical violence, but I had to force myself to refrain. Our guests would start arriving any minute, and I would not tarnish the crown by acting uncivilized. Instead, I took a deep breath and straightened my suit jacket, searching for calm, although no amount of calm could have prevented propriety from flying out the window the instant I saw the malicious smirk curling Shi Young's lips. Before I could take a single step in his direction, Quinn, my military chief, arrived with the first of our guests. I opened a telepathic channel to Shi Yang. We will discuss the consequences of your insolence after this dinner has concluded. I look forward to it. Well then. The next part of our chapter after I take a sip of tea. I am not left-handed. This is awkward. Okay, I got it. The next part of our chapter is from Queen Fallon's perspective. I appreciate that you put that in there, Kay. You know, the changing of perspectives, writing who it's from instead of having to try and guess. You know, this cup warmer I have is worth every penny I spent on it. It's doing a magnificent job. Everyone still doing okay? Anyone need anything? Tallahassee, this is your first time here. Are you enjoying it? Hopefully you're not working too hard over there. And I have, by the way, I have no intentions of rushing this book at all. Because, Kay, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You are an excellent writer. You tell great stories. And we will be reading the next books of your series. So, no pressure. Of course, if you let me. You have to let me first. I have T2, some yummy well. Wonderful. More story, please. Doing well. Oh, I'm blushing. Good. Sipping her ginger tea. Oh, lovely. All right, more story. Page 39, folks. I managed to make it to the main floor powder room before the tears came, but not without alarming my lady-in-waiting. Your Majesty, she called as I hurried past her and down the servants' corridor, away from that wretched beast my mate was chained to by blood. Your Majesty. Maya called again, her footfalls echoing behind me. Great. I think you're doing great. Oh, typed what I heard. Long day. No worries. I just want to make sure you're enjoying the time here. Reaching my chosen sanctuary, I burst through the door, slammed it shut behind me, and clicked the lock into place. It would not be suitable for anyone to see me in such a state. A queen was supposed to be unflappable. I'm sorry, I love that word. But not for the reason of the word, because the visual that it gives me in my head. Okay, I'm a child. That's fine. Unflappable in public. Showing even the slightest emotion could make me the subject of the Obsidian Mountain gossip mill for weeks. I would be soon anyway, if not already. Flapping, exactly. Shi Yang would not have made such a direct statement if such rumors were not already circulating. That man got some kind of twisted delight out of spreading horrible lies about me and sharing ones that found his ear. But this one, the suggestion that Lee was not our child's biological father, could destroy our lives and tarnish the crown. How long would it take for the Pride Society to demand a paternity test before recognizing our child as Lee's heir? The silent stream of tears became great chest-heaving sobs as I imagined the hell awaiting us because of Shi Yang's bitterness and hatred. A light tapping on the door had me swallowing my sobs, lest anyone hear them, and struggling to find my voice to respond. When the scent of blueberry cobbler enveloped me, it brought me a sense of profound peace, and I knew who was waiting on the other side of the door. Lonnie, darling, please, open the door. Desperate for the comfort of my mate's arms, I fumbled with the lock. As soon as it clicked, Lee rushed into the room and wrapped me in his embrace. The sobs that I had trapped within my throat forced their way out. "Oh, Lee," I wailed, burying my face into his shoulder. Soldier? Good grief. Shoulder. My lord, that's a whole different statement. "I am here, my queen. It is all right. It is going to be all right. I promise." Lee murmured into my ear while I cried. "Shi Yang is done. I will not have him upsetting you this way anymore." Great music transition. Yep, I wish I could, claim that as my victory, but sometimes it's just pure good luck. After several seconds, Lee's words penetrated my agony and quieted the storm. I lifted my head to see the truth, dulling the shine in his dark brown eyes. "What do you mean?" I asked, already knowing the answer. He caressed my lips with his and wiped the tears from my cheeks with his thumbs. "I mean, I am banishing him. He has gone too far this time." "But he is your brother. Are you not worried about what your parents will say?" It should not have surprised me that my mate was willing to endure his family's wrath to spare me any more of his brother's venom. But it did. Taught to respect and honor our families without question, winged panthers regarded the family bonds as sacred as the collective's will. By the way, this collective is in capitalized.
That tasted purple.
Hi, purple. Collective is kind of like the spirituality, I believe, is the best way of describing it. Hi, purple. I am doing well, thank you. Loving the story. It's fantastic. Very rarely did anyone go against it, much less break it. "Ah, my sweet mate, you and our little one are my priority. My parents live at the Pride Society compound. They have not seen the cruelty Shi Yang inflicts upon you and our pride daily. I have given him far too many passes as it is. It has been 82 years, and he has yet to accept our pairing and my ascension to the throne. He has chosen not to. And now I am choosing not to deal with his disrespect any longer," he said, cradling me against his chest and palming my burgeoning belly. I can read. "There will be more of his insolence once you announce our child's gender and your plans. Shi Yang will cause a scene," I warned as I stepped out of his arms. Li Xin agreed with a solemn nod. "Yes, I am sure he will. But I must think about what is good for the pride, not him. And clinging to archaic ideas will eventually destroy it. How I choose to ensure the future success of Obsidian Mountain is not his concern, because after tonight, he will no longer be considered a member of the Pride." He smiled and pinched my still quivering chin. "Now, Maya is just outside the door with those pots and potions you use to make yourself even more enchanting than usual on special occasions. Work your magic to rid your face of the signs of grief, my beauty, and let us share our glorious news," Li Xin said as he opened the door, allowing Maya to enter and leaving us to our task. Since the first time my hormones got the better of me at the dinner party in honor of a visiting European monarch, I relied upon waterproof makeup, and for that reason my outburst did not impact my face as much as I feared. Hi Heidi, lurking while I cook. What you cooking? Will there be enough to go around? All it took to refresh my appearance was a cold compress to bring down the puffiness, a couple of drops in the eyes to flush away the redness, and a few pats of powder to blend away the streaks left behind by my tears. Hardly the magical transformation Li Xin spoke of, but I was satisfied. Gotta love CoverGirl mascara. I always think of, maybe it's Maybelline. When Maya and I finished, I emerged from my sanctuary to a ridiculous sight. I could not stop the laughter that burst forth from my lips. My king and husband for the last 82 years, the love of my life, was doubled over, panting in the court jester's costume from the previous year's masquerade ball, complete with the hooked nose mask over his elegant steel gray suit. While hilarious and unexpected, the sight didn't surprise me. Li Xin hated to see me upset and often resorted to silly antics to bring a smile to my face. What in the name of the collective? I began while trying to regain my composure. Li Xin lurched to attention, then offered an exaggerated bow. Milady, I am humbled by the gift of your presence, he proclaimed in a poor imitation of a British accent. I swallowed another fit of giggles and crossed the hall, stopping just before I reached him. You flatter me, kind sir, I replied with a flutter of my eyelashes and the deepest curtsy my front-heavy body would allow. He chuckled as he straightened and began shedding the costume. Your laughter, my queen, is the what? Is the salve for all that ails? Am I saying that right? The salve. Why am I not familiar with that one? Anyway, is the salve for all that ails. Are you ready, my love? Li Xin asked after passing the colorful ensemble to Maya and taking my hand. Honestly, no, but we cannot put it off. Let us get on with it, so we can get all the ruffled feathers smoothed before our child is born, I answered, stiffening my spine. Pride shined in my king's eyes as he leaned forward and brushed a light kiss over my lips before he led me back to the throne room. Hundreds of people with beaming faces stood as we entered and applauded when my king guided me forward to be presented to them. We lingered at the front of the rise, graciously accepting their enthusiastic welcome, then continued to our thrones. After I was settled, Li Xin offered me a secret smile, winked, and lifted my fingers to his lips for a brief kiss before he returned to the front of the rise. My queen and I are incredibly grateful that you could join us for this monumentous occasion. One that we were almost convinced would never happen. He paused while our guests applauded and murmured amongst themselves. It has been a difficult journey, but the collective has made it worth every struggle and blessed us beyond measure. In roughly 2 months' time, we will welcome a daughter. Again, Li Xin allowed the crowd to express their excitement. When everyone quieted, he took his place at my side and clasped my hand, meeting and holding my gaze for a moment before turning back to face the crowd. My heart raced, knowing what would follow. I am also proud to announce that it is my intention to rear our daughter as the future queen of Obsidian Mountain. The silence following his announcement was deafening. I squeezed Li Xin's hand as my eyes swept the room full of stunned expressions and prayed. Then pandemonium ensued. And that is the end of chapter 2. Can you imagine being in that room? Being in the king or queen's shoes? Full of applause, happy smiling faces, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Ooh, that's hot. Okay. I have a candle and I need to blow it out. There we go. I don't think you'll be able to see the muffledness coming off of that. It's not a comfortable situation. Yes, I imagine not. Be careful. Yes, I will. Thank you. Just wanted to get my tea, you know? Well. Okay, you've outdone yourself with this one. Very cool story so far. I love how you've entangled the realism of the fact that they are a king and queen, but also real people. BRB, put kids to bed. Have fun with that. You're quite welcome. Yeah, oftentimes we think of, you know, people like the presidents or kings and queens, people in high up positions, people with, you know, power, if you will. We think of them as this different kind of thing, like almost like they're not even human. Like we know they're human, it's obvious, you know. They can't not be human, but we don't treat them like they're human. I think I should have you read my books to me before I publish because I find boo-boos easier. Uh-oh. Was there a boo-boo? I didn't see one. I didn't see any issues. Did you hear one? I just used the word before a lot in that chapter. I didn't feel like it was too much, honestly. There's so much going on and there's a lot of emotion and atmosphere happening in that chapter that it's not like it's not distracting. There's too much happening. The whole book is that way? I'm not worried about it. What I am going to check, though, is how long the next chapter is. 15 pages? Cool. All right, so we're going to do one more chapter. Oh, you mean with a lot going on? Good. I can't wait. Chapter 3 is page 47. And I haven't actually tested this, so I want to make sure it works. Cool. There's the link. Excellent. Chapter 3 is Dissension. It's from King Li Xin's perspective, or at least that's how it starts. I love the paw prints too, by the way. It's very cool. All right. On that note, here we go. I expected angry chatter and maybe hands slapping tables in disgust. Nothing more than some minor discord to soothe a few well-reasoned arguments. Instead, what I got was dangerously close to an uprising. Half our guests surged to their feet, screaming their objections and waving their fists. Several rushed toward the rise and were blocked upon approach by our armed royal guard. And I can't turn a page. Instinctively, I shifted my position and put myself between the angry mob and my frightened queen, maintaining my grip on her hand and praying that the sight of our guards with weapons drawn would drive the Pride Landers back to their seats. It had no effect at all. Those who had tried to advance continued to shout at us over the guards' armored shoulders and grew frustrated by their inability to reach us. Fear settled like hot lead in the pit of my stomach as I watched them straining to get closer. How long before they became brazen enough to attempt to push through? Was the prospect of a queen heading our pride really worth the possibility of injury? Even death? By all accounts, to some, it was, but I could not allow that to happen. Excuse me. There were people present who seemed unbothered by the announcement, and others who appeared excited by it. If violence erupted within this room, the innocent would end up caught in the crosshairs. I had to do something to quell the unrest before someone got hurt. But what? Changing my mind about making my daughter my successor was out of the question. Valen and I fought so hard to conceive that I held out little hope there would be other children. Abdicating the throne was an option, but the thought of what Xinyang would do to the pride if he gained power frightened me more than the crowd, so I refused to consider it. Whether these people liked it or not, the world was changing, and we could not continue as we had since the Pride was founded almost 1,000 years before. Human society was no longer tolerating exclusion, and the activists around the globe were becoming more vocal about it. Their message grew clearer and louder every day. Except that all were created equal and adapt, or get lost on the wrong side of history. Obsidian Mountain's wealth came from business outside the Pride Lands with primarily human consumer bases. The choice was out of our hands. We had to change if we hoped to survive. Fallon's grip on my hand tightened, nearly cutting off all blood flow and dragging my attention away from our furious gentry and neighboring dignitaries. I looked down into those mystifying light green eyes, shimmering with the threat of fresh tears. Without hesitation, I summoned Quinn with a wave of my hand. Take Queen Fallon to our chambers and guard the door, I ordered when he joined us on the rise. Your Majesty, I cannot leave you alone. The situation is too volatile. I will send one of the other soldiers in my stead, Quinn said, stiffening his spine and preparing to argue. My gaze swept around the room, taking in the outraged expressions on the faces of the people I had known and trusted my whole life. And then I got a raid. Just kidding. Rio, hi. Thank you so much for raiding. How the heck are you? Welcome. Let me give you a special shout out. What? Oh my gosh. You subscribed for 22 months. Thank you so much. That is super kind of you. I swear you just did it. Did you not? And is my shouty not working? I wonder if I removed it by mistake. Thank you so much for the resub, and thank you for choosing me to raid to. And apparently my special shout out isn't very special at all. So, we'll do the other one. 22 very chill, cozy months. Indeed. I need to edit the push-ups. What are we at? 25? I edited the wrong one, so that's cool. I forgot I had 2 because I couldn't remember how to do it. There we go. Thank you for rating me, Rio. Playing Baldur's Gate, of course, one of your new favorites. How was it? Did you have a good time? And for those of you raiding in with Rio, if you don't know me, I'm a reading streamer. I do voice work, voice actor on the side as well, but on Twitch, I mostly read to everybody. And that's what we're doing. We're reading a new book that started tonight. So welcome in. If you're sticking around, fantastic. Get comfortable. If you have to raid and run, I totally understand. Rio, thank you for raiding and resubscribing. I appreciate that. It was fantastic. I accidentally almost went 6 hours. Ayo. Accidentally. 6 hours. We all know. I have to say this has been enjoyable, even while working, very relaxing, especially with the music. I'm glad. I'm glad. That's my goal. Life and work is stressful, you know, even on a normal day. So I just try to offer a couple hours of chill. That's my goal. Indeed. Yes. Jason makes my life very stressful. Hey. He likes to stress me out. That's because you allow that in your stream. Okay? You allow the shenanigans in your stream. So I take advantage. Rio, thank you for gifting that sub. That's super kind of you. Well, now you have to stick around. Because you're sub now. You're part of the crew. And I need to change my push-up count again. From 25 to 30. That was super kind of you, Rio. Thank you. You don't need to do that. Chill out. Oh. Before I forget though, Rio, I need to enter you into the drawing. Twice. You're now entered into a giveaway for an Amazon gift card or a Steam gift card, depending on your choice. So let me write those down. Got it. Just folding the paper. What? Oh my gosh. What is going on? Y'all need to just calm down. Aw, Tallahassee, gifting one to Kay. That was super kind of you. Now you're in the drawing too. See? This is how it works. I just gotta make sure I spell it right on the paper. Thank you so much for doing that. Yep, I already messed it up. It's fine. Okay, got it. See, I have a hat here. It's upside down, but it has my logo on it, my thing. So yeah. Once we reach 50 in total, I'm going to put all those in a clear container, give them a good shake, pull one out, and someone is winning a gift card. So, or Samantha works too. Yeah, I was trying not to say your name, okay? You know, privacy and all that. Someone on Twitch called me B. Yeah, I'm probably just going to call you B. Hey, B. What's up, B? You don't care? All right. Good to know. You made it quite the guessing game, in the beginning, so I didn't want to assume. Well, thank you everybody for sharing the love with each other. I think that's fantastic. I love it. You're very kind. I do have to head off to bed to eat before my turn. Rebels, have a good stream. Enjoy the Thank you, Rio. Please eat something. Take care of yourself. If I find out you didn't, we're going to have words. Okay. Where was I? Lost my place completely. Right. We're good. So, offering no further argument, he took my mate's hand and ushered her from the room, with Maya hurrying behind them. I watched them leave, then channeled Dexter, Lyon, and Garrett Richardson, who stood sentry at the doors to the throne room. Dex, Garrett, I need you up here while I try to defuse this situation. Both men nodded in acknowledgement and crossed the room toward the rise. Without missing a beat, 2 other soldiers stepped smoothly and silently into their vacated positions. When Dex and Garrett took their places at my side, I cleared my throat and prepared to face down those who opposed my decision. Gentlemen, please take your seats, I demanded, lifting my voice over the din. You will have a chance to air your grievances one at a time, but you must contain yourselves until I have yielded you the floor. I stood on the rise, waiting for the crowd to settle enough so that we could address their issues, and wondered how many more of my friends held such bigoted views. The sight, so many rallying against my child's future ascension to the throne, turned my stomach. Would they make her life a misery when she was crowned, or would they come to accept the idea? Only time would tell, but based on their behavior, I believed it would be the former. Several minutes passed before the room quieted enough for me to speak. However, when I opened my mouth to address the mob, my brother stepped forward and took the floor without asking. Gentlemen, it appears the sickness that has taken hold of this nation, known as feminism, has spread to envelope our way of life. We must stop this now. Women have a place within our society, and it is not in positions of authority. A queen is meant to aid her king, not rule over him. What King Li Xin is trying to force upon this pride is preposterous and a threat to all we hold dear, he said, sweeping his arms around the room for emphasis. I had to grant the man his due. Shi Yang did possess a flair for the dramatic. He was a consummate performer and took advantage of every opportunity to make himself the center of attention. Why should this moment be any different? I am not the first ruler to pass his crown to his daughter. Look around the country. There are at least 9 other prides with a queen at the head, and they are some of the most affluent prides in the world. I have complete faith that my daughter will lead Obsidian Mountain to the same level of prosperity. I interrupted without an apology. Though fury burned in my chest, I kept my demeanor calm and focused on the group instead of my mutinous brother. This would be Shi Yang's last act of defiance against the crown. He had sealed his fate before the gathering even began. His actions at that moment only added to the extensive list of reasons for me to adhere to that decision. King Gavin Barton of the neighboring Grayling Pride rose. Your Majesty, I am not accustomed to voicing my opinions on such matters, but in this case, I feel it necessary as our prides conduct a lot of business together. If I may speak frankly, he inquired, then continued at my nod. Li Xin, this is madness. The United States is in ruins because of this kind of thinking. Women are shying away from traditional roles, and families are suffering. Divorce is at an all-time high, and children are being forced to choose between parents. The country is crumbling because humans have forgotten the proper ways. Your mistake will destroy your pride if you proceed, he said, shaking his head sadly and resuming his seat. My panther hissed inside my head while I seethed. The fool dares to tell you how to govern your own pride. Our cub will be a far greater leader than all of them combined. I think that is what they are afraid of. I paused to gather my composure, then gave a glimpse of themselves and their attitudes as seen through my eyes. I disagree, Gavin. The country is not in ruins. It is in transition. Women are learning their worth and have stopped settling for merely existing. The discord is from the men who feel threatened by this change, and I say, if a woman in power threatens your manhood, maybe you were never really a man at all. That was fantastic. There's a slight break in the story. We have a little paw prints. Time has moved on, or something to that effect. No matter how sound my argument was, no matter how many times I pointed out their ridiculousness, nothing changed the atmosphere in the room. I laid part of the blame for that on my brother, who was sitting opposite my desk with a smug smirk on his face. Shi Yang spent the entire gathering taking the floor at his will and regurgitating the hate-filled diatribe that had plagued women's fight for equality for decades. More than once, the temptation to throttle him with everyone and the collective watching rose and had to be forced back down. I was a king, not a ruffian, and that required exercising a certain amount of decorum, regardless of how much satisfaction I would glean from plowing my fist into his face repeatedly. My stomach growled, reminding me that we never got to the meal part of the celebration, which made me even angrier. This man was not happy unless he was making Fallon and me miserable. I was fuming. Oh dear, thinking of my beloved Fallon reminded me she had not eaten either, and I channeled Ola, our kitchen manager. Ola. Yes, Your Majesty? Please have someone bring dinner to my chambers in 30 minutes for Queen Fallon and me. Yes, Your Majesty. Thank you. Of course. Quinn walked into my office as I cut the channel and looked back and forth between Shi Yang and me, obviously confused. Quinn, thank you for coming so quickly, I greeted him. Shi Yang cast a dirty look over his shoulder. Since when does your military chief need to be present for private family discussions? He asked, returning his attention to me. This is not a private family discussion. This is a matter of pride security, I answered coolly. Pride security? Shi Yang's eyes narrowed as he studied my face. I thought you wished to speak to me about my reflections before dinner imploded. Slowly, I leaned back in my chair, resting my elbows on the armrests and linking my fingers. What would be the point? Your disrespect has become a daily habit. We have discussed it hundreds of times in the last 80 years and nothing has changed. I have grown weary of it, and I shall not waste my breath any further. And nothing will change. That woman has made you weak, Li Xin. Raising your daughter to rule? It goes against natural law. Shi Ying replied with the self-righteous tone he used when he believed he had the upper hand. Ah, but that is where you are wrong. Fallon has made me stronger and wiser beyond all comprehension. My love for her, and our daughter, has made me see the error of the old ways. I see the value women possess beyond the kitchen and bedroom. It pains me that you and so many others are blind to it. Perhaps you would understand if you had accepted your mate instead of rejecting her, I pointed out. Shi Yang huffed. I will take a mate of my choosing, not of the collective's. The one they chose was not worthy of me. A shopkeeper's spawn is not fit to be bare royal offspring, he said, straightening his left cuff of his jacket. Are we finished here? I have things to do. Not quite, I answered, leaning forward again and closing my hand around the obsidian obelisk of the front edge of my desk. Shi Yang Quang Song, you are hereby banished from the Obsidian Mountain Pride for your continuous display of disrespect towards your king in public settings and for your blatant contempt towards your queen. A brilliant white light burst from the obelisk and attached itself to the pride mark on Shi Ying's right forearm. Shi Ying screamed and doubled over, clutching his arm and his mark, or as his mark burned away. I waited silently, fighting the urge to comfort him, until he straightened. Then I continued. You are terminated from your positions within the Pride and its exterior business holdings, effective immediately. Quinn and a team of his choosing will escort you to your chambers, where you will have 30 minutes to gather your belongings. Then, you will be escorted to the border of the Pride Lands and released beyond the gate. Quinn's wide eyes met mine. I had not forewarned him of my intentions, so his surprise was warranted. It was long ingrained into our society, especially the royal family, that blood ties were more important than any other. They were unbreakable, regardless of the treatment. A box on the door for you, sir. For 94 of Shi Yang's 101 years on this earth, he had terrorized or abused me in some fashion, and I turned the other cheek as I was taught. When I paired with my Loni, he immediately began treating her to an even higher level of castigation. Castigation. His first attack was a constant reminder that her European ancestry would pollute our Chinese blood. I did my best to shield her and maintain the ties, but everyone has limits, and I reached mine. It was time to act. It was time to stop putting blood ties above my mate and my own peace of mind. It was bad enough that my queen had been subjected to his contempt. Now we had a child on the way, and I would not allow the same to happen to our daughter. Xiang made no effort to move from his seat. He simply sat there staring at me, fighting for breath. Then a slow, menacing smile spread over his face. You cannot banish me. I am your brother. Father will not stand for it. He will order my reinitiation before I even reach the gates, he said. Our father no longer has any authority here. I am the king. I make the decisions for the Pride now, I reminded him. He is a member of the Pride Society. They rule over all the Prides and will not abide by this. You should have paid closer attention to our bylaws in school, Xiang. The members of the Pride Society do not involve themselves in banishments or the discipline of Pride members. Their role is to intervene in external Pride conflicts, interspecies conflicts, and when our exposure laws are violated. They cannot help you. You have earned your punishment, Xiang, and now it will finally be carried out. Sadness filled me, bringing with it a burning in my chest. No matter how horrible Xiang was, he was my brother, and his banishment tore me apart. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is chapter 3. And I almost lost my bookmark. Wow. That's actually a great spot to end the reading for the night, because it's like a finalization. Thank you. It's a finite moment in what has happened, but now there's this big question mark about what will happen next. Well, we know a little bit about what happens next, but not much. Well, thank you all very much for being here. I hope you have enjoyed the book so far. I can't wait to keep going. Do you have a stream schedule? Yes, I do. So Sundays, sorry, just whack the microphone. Sundays and Thursdays at 7 Central, I show up on screen. I always go live a few minutes before to give people a chance to get in here. But yeah, 7 Central, Sunday nights and Thursday nights. Occasionally, I do have to skip a night here or there to, life gets in the way. But that is the basic schedule. So yeah. Yes, adulting. Very much so. Well, thank you for being here. Thanks for popping in too and, surprising me. I'm glad you like the book. Kay's an excellent writer. She's fantastic. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm gonna pick someone for us to go say hello to. know what?
Through.
Whoa, that was a voice. We haven't raided my mod in a while. Or one of my mods, I should say. So we'll do that. He's currently playing 7 Days to Die. Very nice guy. Mr. Redthorn. Thank you for reading, Jason. Absolutely. It was so nice to meet all of you. Everyone have a great night and happy early Friday. Indeed, happy Friday. No school for my child, though. Yeah. So thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Sunday to continue the story. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, have a fantastic weekend if I don't talk to you. And if all goes well, I will see you back on Sunday. Good night.
Suddenly I want to go listen to some